What's going on, guys? Today I'm going to unbox the Shredder version 2 1/6 scale monster truck. Haven't really had a chance to take a look at it yet. I've been so busy, but had it for a while. Just been seeing everybody else get theirs and kind of been waiting and just kind of doing some other things and catching up with some other stuff. But I really wanted to make sure I had a chance to test this and, really get a feel of it, because I used to have the version 1 and really want to make sure I'm doing a fair comparison to anybody that wants to know, what's going on with this particular one in comparison to the other one, what parts work with it, upgrades or things like that that you might be able to use for the old version 1 owners. So that's kind of what we're looking at today. Let's crack this open and see what we got. So that's how it's packaged in there. I mean, typical, just like the little trucks, wheels keep it balanced, and the packaging keeps it from moving up and down. So it's pretty tightly well in there. I mean, there's nothing really wrong. Everything's kind of laying in here, but locked in. So, well, let's get a look at this remote. That's a big box for the remote. I remember the old Shredder was the same way. And it's the same remote that's coming now, the new Redcat racing remote. It's going to be coming with all the trucks, probably from here on out, with all the new revisions. It's just your typical RCR remote. For those, I mean, I apologize to roll through this. I mean, I've just seen this remote so many times that, I mean, you got your throttle trim for your, your steering trim, your throttle trim, which both of these should be set to about 0. Sometimes a little bit above 0 on the center, at least with the old remotes. And then, of course, this one can go up to 6, if 6 is still the option. Full, whatever full is on this new one. But that's your trim radius, so how far your wheels turn. Of course, your reverse throttle, reverse steering. It's got a good feel. This is plastic. It's not a rubber as it looks, which again, that's one thing they probably could have done that would have made it a little bit nicer. But uses 4 AA batteries as well, and the range on it so far has been fine. I mean, it's got the little nub antenna. Technology's been upgraded so much that it's actually pretty efficient from what I've seen of it so far. All right, and there we have it. I mean, it's really, I mean, I tell you what, man, I love the body. I'm pretty sure that we're going to be able to use this body, obviously, on the old Shredders. I'm almost positive that when I open this thing up, these parts are going to be exact, just kind of like I think they are. Like, I've already kind of seen that some of them are, obviously, with the bumpers, the earthquake bumper style, things like that I'll go over and basically just kind of pick apart and see what we're looking at here and what's the same and what's not. These are the Terremoto 8 scale tires. Comes from the same factory. So these tires probably won't see the dirt with me on this truck at all. I mean, probably won't even see the pavement. I know what these tires are capable of. I had the Terremoto. I use these tires elsewhere as well. So these tires just got a lot of balloon for me, and I'm already past that. So I want to keep this thing as stable as I possibly can, even for showing my first run. I mean, I just don't want to use these tires. They're going to balloon. I mean, we can do a pancake test and things like that, but I'm past these tires, going to take them off. There's no point in me even devaluing them, because I don't even need to keep them in my arsenal, because everything I have is strapped. So these will be making their way out, or I'll stick them on the shelf somewhere to when I am done playing around with this and go to sell this one way or the other. So, but that's the tires they're still good tires, don't get me wrong, but they got a little bit more balloon than I would want from what I remember with the old Shredder. I mean, I've had these. I'll show some pictures here as well of the trucks I've done with the old Shredder that use these tires. Man, made them look like Rampages and things. I mean, it's a pretty nice truck, but I've been there, done that with these on the Shredder. And know exactly what it's capable of. And that was even when I was putting big motors in them and all, which of course we're going to be doing with this one as well. Body's got some nice stock flex to it. Of course, I mean, please Gorilla Tape your body. This is a really nice body, and I'm sure Once they come in stock, it's going to be an expensive body. I think I'm going to cut these out right here. Probably put some screen mesh up here, and that would probably let some really nice airflow come in here for cooling. That's something if anybody's got a little Dremel or something that wants to just go ahead and cut these out, and then you get some, you can do some mesh, like some shoe goop and some mesh or something that's going to keep this on here on the back side of it. It's a really nice vent option right there. So those will come in handy, I'm sure, for a lot of people. But like I said, it's a nice body. I'm not gonna say it doesn't feel different. It definitely has a thicker feel than definitely the 1/10 and some of the 1/8. Dean's in. So I can tell already that these are a lot of the same parts, and these shocks are actually these are really nice shocks, because I can use these for my widened earthquakes and some other things that also use these shock towers that I know will mount. And they almost look like they might even, since this is a BSD factory, these might even be good shocks for the Terremoto. And I know the Terremoto's got a big fat end, but this actually almost feels like it's got a big fat end on it as well. So we might have to try one of those up against the Terremoto, because I know a lot of people looking for replacements for that truck. Alright, got that is the Hexfly 15 kg, so it is the Metal Gear servo. See, this is intriguing me right now because there's no motor mount. So it almost looks like this is the motor mount. And it is, it's down to the chassis. So that looks very constricting and very limiting. Not sure what kind of upgrades we're going to be able to do with something like that, especially if this goes all the way around. That would be almost like the Avalanche was, where it had that restricting heatsink can. It actually looks like, more and more I look at it, like there is a separation here. There's two screws right there that looks like they go right through that whole plate. And then if you look right here, these look like they open. So I'm willing to bet this is going to at least open up to 42 millimeter. So the end of that screw can go to there. Oops, better get some more. So it's right about there. It says about a little bit over 1.5. Much more here. So it's about 4.5. So if it's a 36 can right now, it looks like it can take probably up to a 40 can at that point, which is better than being limited to a 36. At least a 40 can you can put on one that doesn't have the heat sinks or heat fins, and that's like the normal ones that are normally 42. Same power, things like that, just without the heat fins built into them. So, you know, that hopefully is promising, because, you know, I definitely want to make sure that we can upgrade this motor to something a little more powerful eventually. But the chassis, while we're down here, man, this chassis is nice, man. It's going to be scratched up, I'm sure. Some shock oils and things like that will prevent that. It's actually some nice recoil too. But this, it's a really nice chassis. Definitely thicker than the original one, just by feeling it and seeing the cuts and the grooves and things in this. It's definitely got a thicker feel, so they reinforced that. But while we're down here, I mean, I got the arms And the arms are the exact same arms from the original version 1, so there's nothing different there. We also can see the front chassis piece that goes on the Earthquake and the shredders and all. That's the exact same piece there. Of course, the bumper is the same. This piece is the same. All this is the same exact as it was with the shredder and with the Earthquakes and things. Again, the Earthquakes are smaller arms and things, but it's the same exact setup as far as inner side diffs and things along that, and the diffs and stuff. So so far, very similar. I'm sure these steering links, which I have one of them as well, are the exact same. As does look like the Ackerman is silver now as well, which might hopefully mean that that's a little bit thicker than the original and hopefully doesn't bend as much. That blue one, sometimes if you bang out, it would bend. Hopefully they went a little bit thicker on that one since they changed it, because there's no other real reason to change it unless they just want to keep with the silver titanium color. So that is all that is similar there. Same guards as the original shredder. It's even got the same short course cutouts right here for the short course pegs to go through. With the battery trays, I mean, they're basically 2S size battery trays, thickness wise. They could have put a fatter battery tray on there in my opinion, but this is what they gave us. So it's just a 2-inch, it's just a 2S style battery holder. It will fit a 3S battery as well, low profile if you get one of them, or you can pop these out and use the battery straps like I use on the T10 that adhere to the actual chassis, and then you can put your fat packs in there if you want to upgrade this to 3S, if this goes to a 40 can like I think it should. So it is a plastic spur, which is what the Earthquake and them come with stock, so nothing surprising there. I can just feel that it's definitely not metal, but this pinion is, so that's a good mesh. It's not going to be a brass pinion like the Earthquake was, or the old shredder that's going to, you can wear down that plastic, and after the brass starts wearing out, so that's a benefit. The shock towers on this thing are definitely upgraded. So here's the new shock tower. Now this one used to mount actually a little lower than where this is actually sitting at right now. So that gives you a ballpark idea of just how much bigger these shock towers actually are. And these are the same ones that are on the Earthquake and the original shredder. So these might be more like a Terremoto A-scale shocks or something along that line. Not really positive, but because I don't have one to compare right now, but they definitely are looking a lot bigger now once I pulled out that shock tower. So that's a plus. These shock towers were a little, they were pretty solid. You couldn't really move them, but they were a little constricting with things like the bodies and body posts and things that you could put on here. These posts, you could get longer ones and things like that, but it had a lot of flex. So this actually feels like it's nice and solid now. It's going to give you that raised body option without having the flex, but plus we could still go a little higher if someone had a wagon or something body that they wanted to find for this thing and make it work. You can still do that now because you actually have the higher towers on top of that. And clearly you can remove the wing assembly and put the same bumper assembly guard and things like that you can on the rear, I'm sure, exactly like you could with the shredders, because that's the same. So that's another plus, is that you have so much compatibility with this thing. So it actually looks like it mounts to right about where that old tower was. So this is actually probably the same exact one from the Shredder XB, just thrown on here. And again, this is a lot of the same parts, but with that being said, these are definitely different. So you can see you have all of this now. It's all over here. Basically, that is the old one right there, what you're looking at. That's that. And it's got this whole other side that connects here, so it's got a much broader upper arm and should have much less twist, whereas this only had the two. Again, didn't really have any huge problems with this on the shredder or any of them. My issues are always with the lower arms, mainly because I was bashing and landing crooked or things like that. Nothing I can blame on the vehicle, really. It's mainly my own driving and just getting used to the vehicle and trying to jump a 1/6 scale vehicle. So the link I mentioned Same steering link. That's the exact same one. What else? This upper chassis plate is the same one as well. This plate here actually looks like it's different. It doesn't have the cutout for the motor, so this is more solid, which is it's good. I've seen it break right here, but it's also broke right here before, and that's mainly on the earthquakes. I don't think it'll be that big of a deal with the shredder because it's such more of a longer chassis. It's not as you're not going to bash this probably like you would a 1A scale earthquake, and it's not going to cartwheel the same way because it is so much longer and more wide. But the ESC box, this is the upgrade ESC box from the Terremoto 10 that they came out with after they upgraded this. That's why it's actually still got the battery post attached to it that absolutely does nothing for you here. But this is the exact same box, so that means if you needed to get like a Quick Run 150 or a Mama Monster or something you want to throw in here that was bigger than this box, that means the 8 scale Terremoto box will also fit on here. I'm assuming it's got the same exact hole placement since it is the same ESC, and everything's made for this ESC box to fit this, so it should be absolutely no problem popping those on and having that bigger box. It's also the 80 amp that comes in the Terremoto 10, which is, again, plenty of power for this 1300 kV. Plenty of power if you want to upgrade this to the 1920 that's in the Landslide, which is pretty much the same exact size motor. Just, again, a little bit more top end. This is made for more torque, I guess, for a little bit more of the body weight. But, if you're going to up gear this, you might as well just leave this alone and get the bigger motor and let the kV be your extra power and keep it down geared a little bit. Play around with that and see how that works out. So, but we'll figure out how this works here as well, because I do want to see if I can get a 40 can on here and open this up some and see what we got, how that works. And I'm really curious about that now. So I did look. The diff housings are the same as well. So this diff housing is exactly the same as the one in there. So it's probably the same actual differentials. The only difference is probably how this top of this one mounts, because clearly we have a bigger shock tower here, and it's not going to mount the exact same way. Where it does look like the old shock tower went in at, which was right here, it is probably connecting here from the back end of this, but there's so much more length to that down and of course up, just like so. It's got to be able to go down further, obviously. So there's a little bit going on difference with the top of this, but it does not look like this is anything that can't be done to the version 1 shredders or even the earthquakes of people that would want it. I mean, it seems like it's just a matter of changing out the difference up here, because even this screw right here, that's the back end, that's where that used to sit, and there's that hole that screw right there normally would hold. So this is very, like I said, it's very similar setup. It's just definitely clearly wider and gives you the arm pin mount through there, so it actually gives you more of a stable hold on the top. So that's the setup that you would need. I'm sure it's a very easy setup to do if you want to get that done to yours, and I'll look into that and dig a little deeper into that as well, and probably put something on my website to give people an upgraded option to like the shock tower with these shocks or something on an earthquake, which would probably be pretty badass, because they need a little bit of work, especially in that 1/8 form. I mean, I covered it. I mean, I think I covered everything. I mean, pretty much identical to the original version 1, with the exception of the inner chassis, the upper arms, and the shock towers. That's it. Everything else looks to be exact. I'm sure the tires are. I already seen the part number for the all this stuff, so you can definitely get the extended hubs and the wider hubs and things like that. The 1/2 inch offset for these, which I'm going to throw a couple other tires on, so we're going to get a good peek at how these sit, how it kind of hugs that thin railed chassis, and then we're going to see it afterwards with something with a little more wider offset that I'll be running, which is going to just give it a little bit more stability. So. But, alright, well, we're going to get top on this thing and check out a couple other tires and things for it, and hopefully get this thing out this weekend. Alright, well, here's a quick comparison for you. This is the Landslide XTE 1/8 scale. So just a good idea of how much bigger the shredder is in that 1/6 scale frame. Back wheels are pretty much lined up almost axle for axle. You can see it's so much of a longer truck for sure. But then when you look at the width, that lighting sucks on the side. It's really not that much of a difference. So again, we're going to change that up here in a few, but that's again, these got some good offset to them, and these you could even get more. So I showed that these tires can come out more as well because these have such a zero offset to them, kind of like these Terramoto tires do. So both these vehicles can be wider than what they are out the box, and again, these can even be more because you got the 1/2-inch hub extender option, and you have the tire, just the fact if you go with a deeper offset tire like a Proline 3.8 or Desperado or F11, it'll give you that 1/2-inch offset. You can actually make this whole vehicle 2 inches wider just by putting the hubs and the different rims on. So just keep that in mind as well. We'll see what some of that looks like. I probably won't put the hub extenders on right now, but I definitely will throw the tires on. Alright, while I'm in the middle, I figured I'd stop and show. These are the same hubs as well, and the aluminum knuckles from the Earthquake, which means that the MPO, I think it's 0, 2, and 3, will fit this truck as well, which are the aluminum hubs and steering blocks. Same thing with the rear. So those will still be valid parts for this. So if you have a shredder and it's trashed and you have the aluminum upgrades, you can actually swap them or just bring them over. So with that being said, the stub axles and all that stuff are also the same. And again, the hub extenders that I sell will actually work with this truck, as confirmed, just now. So just wanted to kind of show you that in case you want to see that. And again, if you're familiar with the vehicle, they are the same as the Earthquake and the original shredder. And these are the Shockwaves 3.8. They're stretched a little bit on these rims, but the height is about the same. These are going to be a little bit smaller than what the stock tires on the shredder are right now with the Terramoto 8 scale. But if you want a low profile, you want to soup this thing up and you're going to hook this thing up with 6S or something, and you want a low profile tire that holds up but yet still's got a little bit of bashing ability, it's probably the Shockwaves. So these are really good tires. That's kind of why I want to show them on here, but I do got a couple more that are probably a little bit more suited for this thing for everyday runners or people that want to kind of tear it up. So we'll take a look at those ones next. This right here, these are what you want when you've got some power coming from this thing. I'm sure that 1300 will probably turn these tires too. These are some big tires, man. I mean, I'll show the comparison of them if you want to see them for the stock ones. They're about the same diameter. They're just much thicker. I mean, these speeds are crazy. These are the MT Rocks by Louise. Really good tires. I mean, these ones are strapped and balanced, but they're huge. They're very big for the vehicle I want, but they really fit that 1/6, man. That's what they've been missing right there. Man, that's a really nice look. They fit them really well. I mean, if you're looking for that off-road, man, I mean, something like this or a Badland, obviously the Badland's not going to be as wide or crazy, but these things, man, that deep dish, I love that whole look right there. And those are the Big Joes. And again, they're a little stretched on these rims that I put them on the BSR rims, but they're still the same diameter, and they fit. They got a real nice wide ride to them. So they do have a deeper offset, but there are wide tires, so they still do hug a little bit. So those 1/2-inch replacement hubs that I sell should definitely make this stand out a little bit even more, make these tires, both these sets of tires, fit this truck that much better, because they are both very big tires. I love them both. Man, I really like the Big Joe and the Trenchers, whichever way you want to go. They're both going to be about the same same look, the same everything, same height. Maybe the Big Joes are a little bit wider, but just, I mean, it's a nice look, man. It's definitely a comparison for these ones. I did for the other ones, so they're not as wide as the Louise, but they're about the same diameter as the stock. But they just have that deeper offset. You can strap these, so they don't balloon, and just again, it's a tougher look with that offset with that truck. Again, I mean, once you put the red bead locks on the stock rims, it's going to have a nice look with this body and everything as well. So it just I'm not even going to play with them. Like I said, it'll probably be these or my trenchers that I have, one way or the other. This is what I'll be running with when I take this thing out. So get a true feel of the truck itself without having the tires kind of getting in the way of what my feel of it is. Which, again, my expectations aren't already high on this truck just because it's a 1300 kV motor. It's not that they're not high, it's not that I don't expect a lot out of the truck or I don't think it's a good truck. It's that I've already driven this truck as a 1300 kV as a version 1, and basically that's what they've done now with just a little bit upgraded stuff. I'm very happy with that being said. I'm very happy with some of the upgrades and improvements that they've done, and I'm intrigued by that, and I know that the platform should be better. So I'm expecting that motor mount to open up a little bit. Let me put a bigger motor in there, and I'm back to being happy again. If it's restricting, keeps me at 36, there are options which I will pursue, but ultimately I'd like to get a 40 can at least in this thing and be able to play around with that and do something with that. But I mean, that's where we're at, man. This is all in all, it's a nice looking truck. A lot of similarities. Shoot, for the price, I mean, $360. I mean, some of the bundle deals I'll have for this thing with the batteries and chargers and all, they'll be listed on my website as well. I might put a link down in the description, take you right there. You'll pick up one of these things for cheaper than a 1/5 scale, and it's still an impressive truck. You're probably looking at about 40 miles per hour out the box before you start messing with pinion gears, before you start increasing power and things like that. Whether that 1300 can take anything more than 4S, it won't matter because the 80 amp can't. So, once you upgrade one thing, you might want to start upgrading and keep going from there. But a lot of people get this truck and want to drive it just like how it is, and that's perfectly fine too. And I would as well if I wasn't already past that and he wasn't already done. I've already been there, done that with this truck in its old form. So I'm more excited about getting to the upgrades on this. And you guys that want to get it and want to experience it and get a good platform, hopefully I'll be able to tell you if it's worth building one and getting it for the upgrades, because there's a lot of you out there, and there's a lot of people like me that like to get stuff like this and do these upgrades. So I'll find time, I'll get it in, and we'll start ripping into this thing after I get at least one solid stock run and review done for that. So alright, well, that's pretty much all I got with this truck, guys. Not much more I can really say until I get out there and drive it and get some first-hand experience with it. But, it's all in all, it's a solid-looking truck. I'm intrigued to get this thing out there. I'm loving this look right now. But if you guys have any questions, drop a comment. I'll be happy to respond to you via the comment section. If you like the video, please drop a like, support the page, and I'll keep doing what I do. Alright, guys, thanks for watching.